Next point worth making mention of in relation to petroleum authorisations is insurance. Under nearly all petroleum authorisations, there will be an obligation to insure. Now, in the oil and gas industry, we have two ways of insuring. One is known as captive insurance. The other is true third-party insurance. What do we mean by captive insurance? A lot of the major oil companies have set up their own insurance company. Most of those insurance companies are established in places like Bermuda, Bahamas, and the like. And they act as the sole insurer to the oil company. They may well then reinsure part of their risk with the traditional insurance market. But for all intents and purposes, the actual insurer to the oil company is its own captive subsidiary. And that is a very standard way of going in the oil and gas industry. Let me try and illustrate the point. If you think back to the Macondo incident in the Gulf of Mexico, of all the things you heard mentioned, at any point in time did you hear mention of insurance? No, you probably can't think back that far anyway, but let me tell you, insurance was never raised. And there's a simple reason for that. Because there were no traditional insurers insuring that well. BP had a captive insurance. The insurer for BP's obligations was a BP company, an insurance company set up by BP in Bermuda to insure BP's operations. So when things went wrong, instead of going to the insurance market and saying, I need $40 billion to cover the risk, BP was able to turn to its captive insurer and say, you need to sell assets to raise the $40 billion so that we can pay for the costs involved. So the captive insurer paid in those circumstances. Now that sounds all very good, as long as you're dealing with one of the major oil companies. They have captive insurers that theoretically at least, because we never know the answer, theoretically at least, have the assets to meet any insurance claim. When we deal with the smaller companies, they don't have the captive insurers that can meet those claims. So the state will normally insist that where you are dealing with one of the smaller companies, that genuine third-party insurance is acquired. No reliance upon captive insurers in those circumstances. Where that becomes problematic is when the state goes one step further and says not only must it be a genuine third-party insurance company, but that genuine third-party insurance company must be a local insurance company. In other words, to satisfy the local content requirements. The reality is that there are very few countries indeed that have local insurance companies that can insure a risk of the nature that is likely to occur in the oil and gas industry. We did a workshop some years ago in Cameroon. And one of the speakers at the workshop was from the insurance industry. And he was totally blunt about the point. You know, his point was, there is not enough insurance capacity in the entirety of Africa to cover a risk such as the Macondo incident. So the idea of local content insurance theoretically sounds fine. In practice, it's very difficult to put into place. There will need to be some form of external insurance as well. So what you tend to end up with is double insurance. You end up with the contractor buying local content insurance to satisfy the local content requirement, and then in addition buying external insurance to cover the risk in those circumstances.